So, Matt, I went to my barber the other day, and he suggested doing my hair different. He said, why don't we cut it real short in the front, and then I'll let you grow it out real long in the back. And I said, man, I'm going to have to mull it over.
Yeah.
Good.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Graveyard. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Adam.
And my name's Matt.
Now, pull up a tombstone or settle into your casket and get comfortable, because this is Graveyard Tales. All right, everybody, here we are again. Matt, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing better.
Yeah,
I'm doing better. You're doing worse.
Yeah.
The holidays were rough on us.
They were. Yeah, Matt is just now feeling better from an illness. I am just now starting to feel bad from an illness. So we'll see.
And we weren't together.
No, we stayed away from each other for.
That's right. He came up here, and I was so sick that we couldn't even get together.
Mm-hmm. I was like, well, I'm not going around, Matt, because I don't want to get sick. And then lo and behold, I got sick anyway. So whatever.
From about 20 miles away.
Yeah, about 20 miles away. I was just like virtually waving at him and got sick. But so we'll see how my throat holds up for this episode. If my voice sounds funny, that's why. But before we get into it, we'll say go check out the Podbelly Network at podbelly.com. You can find a list of shows that we're happy to be associated with, and you can find some tips and tricks on podcasting if you're into such things. Also, go check out our sponsors for this episode, and for all of our past episodes as well. We have some really cool sponsors here lately, and we have deals for you. Just look in the show notes section of the episodes, and you'll find the link and the code if there is one, and go get you something or get somebody something from our sponsors. Also, go over to patreon.com/graveyardtales, sign up to become a patron. We have 3 different levels that you can sign up for, 1, 5, and 10. And, our $10, you get a bunch of stuff. Plus, it's like nowadays, that's 2 cups of coffee a month. So for the
Not
cost,
even.
well, yeah, that's true.
Where the kids drag my rear end to get them like a coffee drink.
Yeah,
I mean, shoot, one
That's
of
a
their
good
drinks
point.
is almost $10. I'm like, good Lord.
So it might be 1 cup of coffee then.
That's true.
Just deny your teens a cup of coffee or 2 a month.
One trip to the coffee place.
Yeah, and you can get our $10 level, and with our $10 level, you get the bonus episode audio that everybody gets. You get the bonus episode video that the $5 and $10 gets. Plus, you get ad-free audio and video versions of the main episode. If we have ads, you get them without the ads. Plus, our $10 gets our side quest episodes, audio and video every week. And we're having a lot of fun. I can't believe how many of them we've done so far.
Yeah.
It's shocking, and we're having a lot of fun with it. It runs
a year. We've been doing it a year.
I know. It's crazy.
We're supposed to call it new forever, and it's been doing it a year.
Yeah, I should call it our second show, but I forget, and it still feels new to me.
Uh-huh.
But you get to see a different side of me and Matt, and we let loose on there where we wouldn't on Graveyard Tales. It is blue, and we discuss stuff that we couldn't discuss on Graveyard Tales. So check it out. Patreon.com/graveyardtales. Sign up. Get all the bonus material. We've got a back catalog that spans years. So you won't run out of stuff to listen to, I promise. So Matt, why don't you tell us, what are we talking about tonight, brother?
So tonight we're going to talk about, it's a cryptid that comes from Amazon mythology.
Mm-hmm.
Now the legend says that this creature came from the sky and landed in the rainforest and gave rise to the Amazon River. It's said to protect the waters and bring color and fertility to the rainforest, and it connects the three worlds, heaven, earth, and hell. So tonight, Adam and I are going to dig into the Yacumama.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, and this, I guess we haven't covered this because, well, you'll see when we get into this. It's kind of a myth. It's kind of a cryptid, but it's kind of real too.
Right.
So, we're going to talk about all aspects of that.
Right. And as we always say, go check our sources. Down at the bottom of the show notes, you can find where we found all this information. You can continue the research. There's a lot of stuff around the Yacumama. A lot of it we're going to touch on, but a lot of it we may not. So if you find it interesting and you want to keep learning about it, bottom of the show notes, find our sources. You can find where we're getting all this information from. Now, the name Yacumama finds its origins in the indigenous Quechua language, and roughly translated, Yacumama means mother of the waters. So Yaku meaning water and mama meaning mother. Bet you couldn't figure out the mama part.
Yeah.
Like I figured out Yaku. I couldn't figure out mama at all. So they say it's a fitting title for a creature that's believed to inhabit the depths of the rivers, lakes, and other bodies of water throughout the Amazon basin. So keep that in mind. This is not just you're going to find it in just the Amazon River. If there is a body of water in the Amazon rainforest, then it has the potential of having Yacumama in it. And to me, that's important when it comes to some of the stuff we've got later on. Now, there's many variations of the Yacumama legend, and they've been passed down orally through generations of indigenous tribes in countries like Peru, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, and Bolivia. Now, not all the indigenous tribes and communities know of the giant serpent by the same name, obviously. But there's a common thread in all these stories, and it's a shared awe and reverence for the natural world. So,
which, that's interesting, the way you worded that, because we see that with other native cultures, where whether it be the earth or the sky or the weather, it's represented by some type of animal. And that animal is revered by that culture. And so, this isn't like something that is completely exclusive to the Amazon.
Right.
We see stories of this all the time. And I think it does make you think, well, maybe this isn't real. Maybe this is just a story and how the story is presented. But as I said at the top of the show, this one may actually be real. Yeah.
I kind of lean that way, which toward the end I'll get into why. But yeah, I kind of feel like this is more than just a legend, especially since there's so many indigenous groups of people in the area that have such a similar legend and a similar description of the Yacumama. Now, tales, have been recounted of the existence of monstrous serpents since the time of the Aztecs. So you're thinking, finally, he tells me what the Yacumama is. You're right. Finally, I do. The Yacumama is a giant serpent. And the Aztecs have had legends of monstrous serpents to the point that they revered it as one of their most formidable deities, Quetzalcoatl. So if you know anything about the Aztecs, have heard anything about the Aztecs, you've heard of Quetzalcoatl. Now, among the Shipibo people of Peru, the massive reptilian that lives in Amazon's shadowy realm is known as Yacumama, which means mother of the jungle. So you look at Aztec buildings and you will see this giant serpent, Quetzalcoatl, on their buildings. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a flying serpent. It's got wings. It's huge. There's one building that when the sun hits the stairs just right, it casts a shadow that looks like a serpent.
Yep.
So to go through what it would take to build that they revered this deity a lot. And you got to think, why would they have a deity that is a giant serpent? You know, you don't see many other examples of a serpent deity except from the people in the Amazon rainforest.
Well, and you're right, but it makes me think of like the North American native tribes that speak of the thunderbird.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know, a giant bird that could control the weather, could bring storms. They didn't just make it up.
Right.
What did they see?
Mm-hmm.
They reacted to things that they saw.
Right.
And so we've talked a lot about these large birds that could have existed. It's the same way here. They must have seen a large snake
mm-hmm.
that led them to believe this was some type of god.
Right. So let's look at the area that the Yacumama lives in, the Amazon rainforest. Now, the Amazon rainforest, it's a tropical rainforest, and it sits in what they call the drainage basin of the Amazon River. So it covers an area of 2,300,000 square miles.
It's huge.
Huge. So about 40% of Brazil's total area is covered by the Amazon rainforest. Most of Peru is rainforest, and parts of Guyana, Colombia, Ecuador, Bolivia, Suriname, French Guiana, and Venezuela are all covered by the Amazon rainforest. It accounts for over 40% of the planet's remaining tropical forests. So 40% in just South America. It's wild. Now, to date, there is at least 40,000 different kinds of plants, 430 kinds of mammals, 1,300 kinds of birds, 378 kinds of reptiles, and more than 400 kinds of amphibians, and around 3,000 freshwater fish that are living in the Amazon.
Yep.
So,
including piranha.
It is a biodiverse area. You know, it's one of those areas where they're continually finding new species of plants and animals in the Amazon River and in the river basin that's around it. So it's probably the most biodiverse area on the planet if you're looking at what is there and what could be there that we don't know about yet, because we keep finding new stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, I read something about how much of the Amazon rainforest has not been explored.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because it's virtually impossible, you know, to
right.
fight through that much jungle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, It is seriously dangerous. I mean, not just from the animals that are there, just the environment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like you can take a leisurely drive in a Jeep through the rainforest.
Right. There's plants in the Amazon rainforest that will try to kill you.
Yes.
That I've seen documentaries of people walking through, and the indigenous people are like, do not touch this vine. Mm-hmm. And they're like, why? Because you will be in severe pain for a week if you touch just brushing against this vine.
Yeah.
We have plants in North America, the poison ivy, poison oak, and there's certain types of plant like stinging nettle and stuff that do hurt. But I've come into contact with all of those, and I'm still fine.
Yeah.
Right? I've lived through it. There's some in the Amazon rainforest that even if you live through it, you might permanently have damage to you.
Yeah. So, well, and I mean, not like a scar, like nerve damage.
Right. Exactly.
Like yeah.
You will never be the same. Now, some of the animals that would live near or in the river, now there's way too many for me to name, obviously, or even get close to the majority of them.
Let's try. Let's do it alphabetically.
Okay. It's like my Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas. I'll just make a song up for the animals of the rainforest. No, there's jaguar, giant river otters, capybara, sloth, pink river dolphins. The Amazon River has dolphins, and they're pink.
Yeah, I want one.
Yeah, but
I want a capybara, though.
They're mean. I saw something where a guy was, he wanted to swim with these pink river dolphins.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the indigenous people were saying, no, dude, no. And he got in there, and they were like punching him and kicking him and trying to bite him. And so he didn't last long in there. He got out, but the indigenous people were like, see, I told you.
Yeah.
And you think about it, and if there's dolphins, yeah, sure, they're pink, but think about all the other stuff that they're having to deal with. They're mean. They got to hold their own.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They've got the Amazonian tapir and anacondas, and that's a big one. So let's look at the Amazon River real quick. Now, the Amazon River is the greatest river of South America, and it's the largest drainage system in the world in terms of volume of its flow and area of its basin. So the total length of the river from the headwaters is at least 4,000 miles. It's only slightly shorter than the Nile River, which is about 4,132 miles long or so, but still, it would stretch from New York City to Rome.
That's unreal, man.
Right? You think, and all of that is just contained in the Amazon rainforest there.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, it winds around and loopy-doos and stuff like that, so it's not a straight line, but 4,000 miles of river is just insane. It's also an ancient river, they say. The Amazon started 11 million years ago as a transcontinental river, and it took on its current form about 2.4 million years ago. So it's coursing through the most biologically diverse biomes in the world, and it's a critically important river system because of that. So, Matt, I don't know the age of a bunch of rivers, but I know that 11 million years is a long time for something to be a river.
Yeah.
With the changes that our planet has gone through in 11 million years, for it to still be a river, even if you want to go, okay, 2.4 million years ago is when it took on the shape that it is now. Okay. Mm-hmm. 2.4 million years is a long time.
Yeah.
So the reason I bring that up is think about the types of animals that could have evolved in 2.4 million years. Sure, they're not geographically locked like Madagascar or whatever, but that actually helps with the biological diversity of that area.
Adam, the most comfortable underwear I have ever owned is MeUndies.
Same.
Yeah. And I mean, they're fantastic. I mean, they fit well. I like the longer ones, the longer boxer briefs, because they don't ride up.
Yep.
But I can't say enough about how comfortable they are. It doesn't matter if I'm wearing my work pants. It doesn't matter if I'm wearing jeans. It doesn't matter if I'm wearing shorts. I mean, they are perfect. And now, with the lounge pants that are available.
Dude, yeah.
Oh, it's out of this world. And Valentine's Day is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So, listen, if you want to be a hero, get your partner some MeUndies. Listen, I got Amanda one of the bras, and she absolutely loves it.
Yep. Ashley just picked out some bras there too, and she's loving them. She got me some lounge pants for Christmas, and I'm sitting here in them right now. I know I look business up top, but I'm lounge on the bottom. I'm sitting here in my MeUndies lounge pants, and they are the most comfortable lounge pants I have ever had. And that's no joke. I would not say that if it wasn't true. But I'm also a big fan of their ball caddy boxer briefs. And even though I don't get the long leg like you do, they don't ride up. They stay in the position they're supposed to be in, and they help lift and separate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's just maybe more information than I want.
But they have a style for everyone. From the all black classics to fun, expressive prints, MeUndies has a look for everyone. And you can try their sexy new Valentine's Day prints like electric hearts or lovebirds. Plus, they come in sizes extra small to 4XL, guaranteeing a flattering cut for everybody. And that reminds me of another thing I've got to tell you. I had on these MeUndies pants, and we were watching our niece, who is 5 years old, and she mentioned something about my all black pants, and Ashley goes, "Yeah, those are his sexy pants." She goes, "Sexy pants," and I'm like, "Look what you started." So now these are my sexy pants.
Oh, it's great.
They have versatile loungewear, so MeUndies isn't just for underwear. Like we were saying, they have a whole loungewear collection that you can explore, featuring joggers, hoodies, onesies, and more. And a hoodie is on my list of the next thing to get, Matt.
Awesome.
I have got to try that micromodal hoodie.
I'm telling you, Amanda's getting one for Valentine's Day. She doesn't know it
yet. They have the signature fabric, which we love. It's soft as a warm hug from your favorite sweater. It's breathable, it's stretchy, and it's so comfortable. And it makes it ideal for all-day wear. It's called micromodal, and I love it. I was skeptical until we tried our first pair, and I am now a firm convert to the MeUndies micromodal. They have a problem-free philosophy too. If you're not happy with your first pair of undies, it's on MeUndies. So try that at some big retailer. Go, "Hey, I don't like this underwear." Well, you're stuck with it. Sorry. So
that's right.
This Valentine's Day, good things come in big packages at MeUndies. Get it? Get 20% off your first order plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/graveyard, GRAVEYARD.
That's MeUndies.com/graveyard for 20% off plus free shipping. MeUndies, comfort from the outside in.
So I mentioned anacondas, and because Yacumama is a giant serpent, let's talk about anacondas of the Amazon River real quick.
Yeah, let's talk about giant serpents.
Let's talk about giant serpents. Well, I mean, it's not a big detour, you know. So if you're like Ashley and hate snakes, and don't want to talk about them, probably shouldn't have gotten this far into the episode
right
initially. But just letting you know, we're going to be talking for the rest of this episode about big ass snakes.
Yeah.
So now the anaconda, the genus is Undies. It's any of 3 to 5 species of large, constricting, water-loving snakes that are found in tropical South America, classified in the family Boidae. So, boa constrict, that's where we get that. Now, the green anaconda is the most prevalent species in the Amazon rainforest. The name green anaconda is the most commonly used name for the species of snakes. They do have other names that include giant anaconda, common water boa, and, giant green anaconda. Anyway, green anaconda, if you say that, type that in, that's
you'll find it.
Yeah, that's the most commonly used name. Now, these anacondas are olive green. They've got dark oval spots along their spines and similar spots with yellowish centers along their sides. So the scales on their bellies are yellow and black. So they are perfectly camouflaged for the area. They have 2 dark stripes from their eyes angling toward their jaw. Now their color and pattern, like I said, provides camouflage for it. And it's amazing camouflage. It allows them to blend in with the dense vegetation of the Amazon rainforest. And if you've ever, I don't know how many of y'all have gone to the rainforest and tried to find an anaconda, but if you've ever watched any of the documentaries, I know I watch probably more documentaries than the average person.
Yeah.
Because I'm a nerd. But they will be looking for these anacondas.
Mm-hmm.
And they will have in their hands, they will have caught this angry 12-foot long anaconda, right?
Right.
They will let it go, and within 2 foot, they lose it in the vegetation.
Yeah.
And they don't see it anymore.
You see how they find them? With their feet.
Mm-hmm.
They're stomping around in sometimes waist deep water.
Yeah, I ain't doing that.
Have you ever seen one? Did you go to the Nashville Zoo when you lived up here?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So, Nashville Zoo's got one. They've got a green anaconda. I would imagine most zoos have one.
Yeah, probably.
But the Nashville Zoo has one. I've seen it several times. I mean, it's not like, the enclosure that it's in is massive.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. But these aren't snakes that, they're not, writhing around and looking at you and stuff.
No.
They don't move a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you're looking in this big enclosure and you're like, this is the biggest snake in the world. Why can't, there it is.
Yeah.
And then you're like, there it is. Oh, there's more of it. And there's more of it.
It just takes up the whole bottom of the tank.
Humongous.
Yeah. I know. And I'm not afraid of snakes like a lot of people are. But I don't want any snake that could kill me.
Yeah.
So anacondas, large boas, they're not venomous, but they can crush me pretty easily.
Yeah.
I also don't like venomous snakes. And where I live, we don't have boas, but we got venomous snakes.
Yeah, right.
A lot smaller, but just as deadly. So you get me one of those hog nose things that don't get more than 12 inches. I will hold that all day.
That'll play dead when it's scared.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I have held large boas at a pet store.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Michael and I have gone there. Ashley stood at the other side of the store while we did it, but I had one, let Michael hold it when he was younger and all that stuff. And even the small ones that are only 4 or 5 feet long, when they wrap around your arm, you feel how strong they are. So you get one of these.
And they're not constricting you.
No.
Because they realize that you are not food.
Right.
You're too big.
Right.
But,
they're gripping.
They're gripping you, but they're not trying to constrict. We took Brooks and Piper to Repticon in Nashville several years ago. Because we used to have a bearded dragon. And we were looking at geckos and chameleons. You know, we were thinking about branching out. And there was a guy there that had, I want to say this thing was like an 8-foot reticulated python.
That's too long.
And he would get it out and you could go and get your picture made with it.
Right.
And he would just kind of let it drape over your shoulder. And so we did that with Brooks, and I thought Brooks was going to flip out. You know, this thing was, it was huge.
Yeah.
And this was an 8-foot snake, and it was pretty thick, very docile. I mean, this was this guy's pet. He was used to being handled. He was used to being in front of people. But you got to think, man, if I came across this snake in the wild, it would scare you to death.
Oh, yeah.
Now imagine one that is like 16 feet.
Right.
You know.
Right. And green anacondas, like we were saying, they're well adapted to the aquatic life. So if you look at their heads, their nose and eyes are located on the top of their head. So they can have all of that 12 to 16 feet hidden below the water. And all you see, it's like alligators. All you see is a little bit of top of their head. That way they can breathe or sneak up on their prey. Now, the ones that live in areas that flood seasonally have to find water during the dry season and like burrow into the mud and stuff. So one could be under your feet as you're walking through a muddy area and you would never know it because it's buried under the mud. Now, full-grown adult females, usually they've got few predators because of how big they are, but the juveniles and males have to protect themselves from predators. So they'll escape by burrowing into the mud or retreating to water. Now, when cornered, they'll coil into a ball in order to protect their head and gain the ability to strike if they need to. Now, Matt will talk about this more in a second, but I want to bring it up now too, so we can reiterate this and bring this home. Green anacondas are one of the largest snakes in the world. Females, considerably larger than males, and they can reach lengths of 30 feet. That's 9 meters, which means they've got a diameter of 12 inches or 30.5 centimeters. One of those can weigh about 550 pounds.
Yep. Big.
That's insane. Now, their average lifespan in the wild is about 10 years. But you got them in captivity, taken care of by humans. They can usually live longer, and some of them will live into their late 20s. Now, like all snakes, green anacondas are carnivores. And as members of the boa family, they are non-venomous constrictors, like we were talking about. They will use their jaws to capture their prey. Then they will suffocate their prey by wrapping their body around it and then swallow it whole. So it will lay there, it will strike, and as soon as it's got its mouth on the prey, that body then comes up and wraps it up. Now, like all other snakes, they swallow you whole, and they can detach their jaw, so they'll swallow prey that's a lot bigger than themselves. But they say that they're careful to weigh the risk of injury with larger prey. And green anacondas have slow metabolisms, so except for breeding females, they only need to eat maybe once every few weeks. So let's look at, I found this article and I wanted to end my notes on this article because I think it's interesting and ties into what Matt's going to talk about and what we'll discuss at the end of this episode. This article came out February 23rd, 2024. So just a little bit less than a year ago. And it's an article by Amy Woodyat. Sorry, Amy. You try to say Ballinger without help. I'll forgive you. Now, scientists working in the Amazon rainforest discovered a new species of snake, and it's rumored to be the biggest snake in the world. Okay, Matt, have you been visiting takeout apps more than the gym this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, if I did it once, then I made it.
Yeah.
Did it more than I went to the gym.
And I can't judge you because I have been too, but getting back on track. Because with every plate, I can make meals at home that are quick and simple, and they taste amazing. Michael even said it the other day. He said, when you cook every plate, he goes, it's like going out to a restaurant, but I feel better afterward. And I'm like, even at 13, he gets it. That cooking at home, you feel better than when you go out. Plus, with every plate, you can spend less doing it and get a restaurant quality meal at home in a short amount of time. And I'm telling you, if we can do it between getting the kid, getting them home, getting the homework done, art class afterward, and recording, if we can make an every plate meal, you know it's quick and it's tasty.
Yeah, absolutely. And my kids love it. Every plate can help you dish up better habits with delicious, easy recipes delivered right to your door, including new calorie smart, carb smart, and protein smart options for all of you people ketoing for the new year. And with the new Smart Swap recipes, you can swap flour tortillas for lettuce wraps, or white rice for lettuce, and potatoes for sweet potatoes to make better for you meals.
That's a great option.
So skip the store and enjoy wholesome, homemade meals that cost less than groceries. Set wholesome habits this year when you sign up for America's Best Value Meal Kit. Get started with 50% off your first box and a free month at Planet Fitness with code GraveyardPF. That's GraveyardPF at everyplate.com/podcast.
Every plate offer valid with auto-renewing subscription. Planet Fitness offer valid with $1 down due at Black Card membership sign up. Additional restrictions apply. See everyplate.com/podcast for details. That's 50% off your first box and 1 month free at Planet Fitness with code GraveyardPF at everyplate.com/podcast. So there was a team from the University of Queensland that traveled to the Ecuadorian Amazon, and they wanted to search for a previously undocumented northern green anaconda. So they had an invitation from the Waorani people to observe the anacondas that were, quote, rumored to be the largest in existence, according to the scientists there. Quote, the size of these magnificent creatures was incredible. One female anaconda was encountered, that we encountered measured an astounding 20.7 feet long, Fry said of the team's discovery. Now, Brian Fry, he's a biologist who was team lead on this expedition. The team also said they had heard anecdotal evidence that snakes 24.6 feet long and 1,100 pounds had been sighted in the area. Can you imagine a 1,000-pound snake, Matt?
Oh, I can imagine it. Yeah. It's terrifying.
I don't want to imagine it. Now, experts that were studying the creatures discovered that the newly identified northern green anaconda species diverged from the southern green anaconda almost 10 million years ago. So remember I talked about how old that river basin was, and it allowed for the evolution of these species? These northern green anacondas differ genetically from the southern green anacondas by 5.5%. And Fry said it's quite significant. To put it in perspective, humans differ from chimpanzees by only 2%. So we just found a new species of green anaconda that is 5.5% genetically different than other ones that live in the area. Mm-hmm. Bigger, heavier, and it's more than double the percentage difference that we are from chimpanzees. And think about how different we are from chimpanzees.
Right.
It's just, I mean, to me, this article by Amy Woodyet here is a perfect example of us finding new species that we had no idea of, but the indigenous people did, and how genetically diverse they can be in the same area.
Yeah, exactly. So getting back to the topic of the Yacumama. So we've talked about the size of these snakes in the Amazon and how large they can be. But according to the Amazon mythology, the Yacumama is depicted as a colossal serpent of unparalleled size and strength, capable of swallowing entire boats, some small islands, or people whole.
Wow.
Now, the estimates vary, with some accounts suggesting that the Yacumama measures up to 160 feet long. So now we're talking about these enormous snakes of being maybe topping out at around 30 feet. Mm-hmm. And that is rare.
Yeah.
We're talking about this mythical creature as being 160 feet long. Now, there's stories of encounters with Yacumama, and the stories stress that its role as the guardian of the bodies of water within the Amazon. And they prey on people that venture too close. They also say that the Yacumama has the capacity to consume any living organism within a radius of about 350 feet or 100 meters.
Wow.
So it's basically so large. If you got within 350 feet of it, you're within its range to get you. You're already too close.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with a snake that big, 350 feet, that's too close for my comfort.
Yeah. Locals would blow on a conch horn before they would enter the river because they believed that after hearing the noise, the serpent would reveal itself to show that it was in the area. Now, the indigenous people of the Amazon basin have given researchers eyewitness testimony, claiming to have seen the Yacumama take down its prey by spitting out giant splashes of water. So it's not necessarily what we would think of when we think of an anaconda, where it's going to strike and then begin to constrict. The Yacumama, it blows out this enormous wave of water to just completely take you down. Wow. And then it would consume you whole. Many local fishermen and their boats have disappeared, and all are believed to have been victim of the Yacumama.
Yeah.
And one story tells of two men who took a boat out to drop explosives in the water. This is from the early 1900s. Once the explosives were detonated, the men claimed that the giant snake rose up out of the water covered in blood, but not dead, and swam away.
Oh, wow.
Now,
you
as
just
Adam
made
said,
it mad then.
Yeah, just stuff to piss it off. As Adam said, the Yacumama legend has several different versions, and some versions of the Yacumama legend describe it as possessing supernatural abilities, including shape-shifting into various forms, controlling the weather, and even having the power to heal or harm those who dare to cross its path. In some retelling of the legend, its scales are said to emit a mysterious glow, which adds to its kind of otherworldly feature. This is not just a regular snake that you come across. That you can tell this thing is this one is special.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's said that the Yacumama can often be found resting on the banks of the river, her tail trailing away in the water. Remember, the Yacumama is a mama, so she's female.
Yep.
She is capable of entrancing prey into immobility with her gaze and draw victims to her like a magnet.
Mm.
When happy, she blesses people with plentiful rain and abundant fish. When angry, which can happen for no discernible reason, she summons storms, fogs, and whirlpools in addition to putting her enormous bulk to destructive use. Sometimes the Yacumama swallows all of the fish and prevents fishermen from catching them.
Mm.
Or she'll fly into the sky and cause downpours of rain that ruin crops. Offerings of food and this aguardiente can placate her. So I had to look up what aguardiente is.
Right.
And it is a distilled spirit.
Okay.
It's
all right.
It would be like tequila or something else. So it's a spirit. I think it's Spanish, in origin. But they would use this as offerings to please Yacumama.
Get her drunk.
That's right. Now, after years of work in the forest, a man decided that he was going to return to the river. So he set off down the Napo River in a large boat, and he brought with him his family, servants, lumber, and livestock. So this was a big boat.
Mm-hmm.
He's got livestock on it.
It's a barge.
But pretty soon, a storm broke out, and he ignored the warnings from native fishermen that the Yacumama was around because of the storm, and he got caught in a whirlpool. Now, Prairie did nothing, but they tossed food and this aguardiente into the water, and that calmed the whirlpool. But the man decided he was still going to press on.
Dummy.
And he came into this, what they described as a sticky bluish fog that all other animals avoided. Yeah, because they knew. They were like, that's Yacumama fog.
Yeah,
you don't go in there.
I'm not walking into that.
Don't go into fog.
Look at this stupid human. So let's take a second and talk about another of tonight's sponsors, Fume. Fume being the flavored air device that we have talked about before. Now, we all got some bad habit that we're trying to quit. And I know Fume has helped me, but I wanted to tell you guys about this. My mother-in-law has been trying to quit her bad habit as well. She saw me with the Fume one weekend. She asked about it. And so the next weekend, we had her one. And I am very impressed with her ability to quit her bad habit just with the help of Fume. She found the core flavor that she loves, the mint, and I will catch her just sitting there on our sofa breathing through the Fume instead of having to walk out and do her bad habit and then sneak back in. And she said she loves it. She said she is able to do it in more places, and it has helped her with that oral fixation and the habit of the hand going up to the mouth.
Yep.
And I was like, see, I told you it works. And she's a firm believer now, and we're trying to get my sister-in-law as well.
Fume is an award-winning flavored air device. Flavored air isn't like vaping. If vapor was compared to sticky soda, Fume cores are closer to herbal teas. Fume has lots of delicious flavors to choose from, like crisp mint, spearmint, black licorice, and the new peach blush.
I haven't tried that peach yet, but I want to.
I haven't either. With flavored air, you can satisfy your oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, vapor, or combustion. Fume is not a vape. There's no vapor. You can use it anywhere. There's no nicotine. It's not addictive. And they're non-toxic flavors. It is a guilt-free alternative. Fume is here to stick with you, not to your lungs. So it's a new year. Time to make new habits. Fume is here to help with an incredible offer. For a limited time, get double the core flavors. Buy one and you'll get two. And here's the best part. When you use the code TALES, TALES, you'll still get a free gift with your Journey Pack. Fume has already helped over 400,000 customers, so why not you? Head to tryfume.com, that's TRYFUM.com, and use our code TALES, TALES, to start your journey today.
That's right. Head to tryfume.com, TRYFUM.com, and use our code TALES, TALES, to kick your bad habit today.
So the storm raged until an enormous wave lifted the boat and lodged it in the branches of a caparona tree. Then they saw Yacumama rise from the river, water flowing off her glistening coils as, it says, Yaris rode her back and laughed at the humans. So Yacumama proceeded to gobble up the lumber, the livestock, the cargo raft, several trees, and an island before going back under.
She was real mad.
The man, with his entire life's work completely obliterated, limped back to the native village with his family. Now, the story says he was greeted warmly by the native group, and they offered him food and a place by the fire. And there he was told of the Yacumama, the ever-changing. So again, you know, they don't know. They don't know what would cause the Yacumama to become angry. But there's warning signs, and the locals know you don't mess with it. You know, this is a sign. I'm not supposed to be here, so turn around. You know,
We've said it
the Yacumama gives warnings. Yeah.
Right. We've said it a million times. Listen to the indigenous people of the area.
Yeah.
You know, you don't go in there with hubris thinking, they're just crazy. This is, you know,
yeah.
They don't know what they're talking about.
You know?
Yeah. They know something.
That's right. Now, some locals believe that the Yacumama is rarely seen now because of the invention and use of the outboard motor and larger ships, which have driven her away. You know, so she doesn't like it. She doesn't come around a whole lot anymore.
Yeah.
Now, there are researchers who believe that the stories of the Yacumama are actually describing the Titanoboa, which is a giant prehistoric snake that lived during the Middle and Late Pliocene era, and it's now extinct. But Titanoboa was first discovered in the early 2000s by the Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute, who, along with students from the University of Florida, recovered 186 fossils of Titanoboa from LaGuardia in northeastern Colombia. It was named and described in 2009 as Titanoboa cerygenosus, the largest snake ever found at that time. Now, it was originally known only from the thoracic vertebrae and ribs, but later expeditions collected parts of the skull and teeth. So this is not speculation.
Right.
I mean, within the last 25 years, we have evidence that this gigantic snake existed.
Yeah.
Okay. By studying the bones, scientists estimate that the titanoboa grew to lengths of just over 12 meters or 42 feet.
Good grief.
And weighed anywhere from 1,400 to 4,000 pounds.
Wow.
Now, to go back for reference, we talked about this earlier. The longest modern day snake is the reticulated python, which on average grows between 12 and 16 feet.
Mm-hmm.
But as Adam mentioned, some specimens have grown to between 20 and 30 feet. The heaviest modern snake is the green anaconda, which, as Adam mentioned, can grow up to 550 pounds.
Yep.
So we're talking about a prehistoric snake that could potentially have grown to 4,000 pounds. You know,
that's huge.
Not just that much longer, but that much bigger, that much thicker.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
And they determined that this titanoboa was an apex predator because of its size. There was nothing that was going to attack it.
No.
You know, it just attacked whatever came close enough to it.
Yeah. Other animals just try to stay away from it.
Yeah. Now, there are no confirmed sightings of the Yacumama, but there have been some encounters that may be related to the Yacumama. In 1906, Colonel Percy Fawcett was commissioned to map the Peruvian Amazon and documented large trails that were about 6 feet wide. Now, he called these trails channels. Some say that these trails were created by the Yacumama as it moved through the jungle.
Yeah.
Now, Mike Warner and his son Greg believed they have photographs which show the giant Yacumama, which measures 40 meters long by 2 meters in diameter.
Jeez.
Okay? 2 meters in diameter, that's 6 feet in diameter.
Yep, that's insane.
Okay? That is ridiculous. And this is a modern day sighting.
Right.
And they caught it. They took aerial photographs of this thing, which is dark brown in color, during a 12-day expedition to the Amazon in March of 2009. So not that long ago.
No, not really.
It's interesting because the snake that they caught on film is dark brown.
Yeah.
And knowing what we know, it's the green anaconda that is known in that area. And even the newest species is still a species of green anaconda.
Yeah. Right.
Okay? So Greg spoke of his father saying, quote, "This has been my father's project for 23 years, and it all goes back to one photograph he saw of a large python which had just swallowed a goat." Okay? So the idea, okay, there's a python that grew big enough to eat a goat. So what if these stories of these colossal snakes in the Amazon basin are true?
Right.
So the father and son team decided that they would use Colonel Fawcett's description of the channels to guide their exploration. And Greg went on to say, Percy Fawcett recorded seeing large trails in the forest, which we called channels, so we tasked satellites to take pictures of this area to look for the existence of these channels. We looked for these channels and thought, if we can prove these channels exist, we could maybe find some evidence which pointed toward the existence of the snake. What we didn't expect to get was a picture of one of these snakes in the channel.
Right.
Now, analysis of the photographs did lead researchers to believe that this was a giant anaconda, but that it was very possible that this was a species previously unknown to science. So like I said, this was a brown anaconda. If it was an anaconda, sure does seem like it.
Yeah.
It's massive in size. You can go and look at these photos. You know, of course they're not down there, because there's no way to get there. I mean, you know, you have to do this stuff in the air. Because, you know, you certainly wouldn't want to fight everything else in the jungle and then come across a 40-meter snake, you know, that could be, you know, eating a horse. Jesus, you know, come on.
Right.
But what's so cool about that story, about the Werner's discovery, is that it shows the possibility that there's a species of snake, of giant snake, that we haven't discovered yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about earlier how much of the Amazon has been unexplored. And Adam mentioned that those anacondas have a tendency to burrow in the mud when they need moisture. You could be standing on one and not even realize it.
Yep.
So not only are you talking about a giant snake that lives in an environment that you just cannot explore, but can hide extraordinarily well.
Right.
So the chances that humans, at least modern day humans, may not have come across this, I think is pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
sure.
So I mean, it really makes me think that maybe the Yacumama was real, probably wasn't supernatural.
Yeah.
But to people that didn't understand that, you know, if we're talking about Aztecs, if we're talking about, you know, these ancient civilizations, and they see a snake of this size and what it could potentially do,
yep,
why wouldn't you think we can't mess with this thing?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and that's the thing. We know that there were ancient civilizations that lived in the rainforest for many years, you know, and there was a bunch of people that lived in the Amazon at this time. We keep finding civilizations thanks to LiDAR scans. They'll do LiDAR scans of the Amazon from above and find buildings.
Entire cities.
Right. So we know that there was a ton of people living there. We also know this because of the Terra Preta that's been found all over the Amazon. Now, you're like, what's Terra Preta? Real quick, Terra Preta, it's an anthropogenic dark earth, and in a landscape characterized by soils of generally low fertility. So in the Amazon, the natural soil is like this reddish eroded soil, and it's very low in nutrient content. Terra Preta, or Amazonian dark earth, it's a nutrient-rich soil that holds water well and was made by pre-Hispanic indigenous civilizations that lived in the area for millennia in an effort to make the soil grow plants and crops better. So they don't know exactly how they made it, though. So that's like a mystery for another time, is this Terra Preta from the Amazon. But what this tells me is that people were abundant in that area for a long time before it kind of grew over and is what it is today. That's the same people who the stories of Yacumama originated from.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's going to be a group of people who would have seen a different, you know, undocumented species of anaconda, it would have been these people.
Right.
And, you know, the question I have is, if we know that there's a species of green anaconda that differs from the previously known species by a whole 5.5%, what are the chances that the Yacumama is just another species of anaconda that we haven't discovered yet that maybe varies by a larger percentage? Because I know one of the descriptions of the Yacumama is she has orange on the side of her face. The green anacondas we know of has dark going from the eye to the jaw.
Right.
And Yacumama has orange. Well, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility at all for there to be a giant species of snake that because the Amazon has grown over so much, that even the tribes that live there now have a hard time seeing or finding,
Right.
because of the habits of this type of snake being solitary, digging into mud, hiding. It seems like it's very possible to me that there is a ginormous living snake in the rainforest that people attribute the legend of the Yacumama to.
Yeah.
Especially when there's so many different cultures from so many different countries there in South America that have a similar tale.
Yep.
The descriptions are basically the same, but the only thing that differs is the supernatural abilities.
Right.
Right. which is given to this snake by the different cultures, but the giant, greenish or brownish colored snake that could swallow anything, I'd be willing to bet it's there.
Well, I mean, we already have evidence that like the Titanoboa was real,
Mm-hmm.
and
what if it didn't go extinct?
well, yeah, that's a possibility. What if this is just a descendant of it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is an article I read said that this is a cryptozoologist's dream.
Sure.
I mean, the possibility that a mythical creature, a cryptid is real, and it's an undiscovered species. I mean, that is cryptozoology. That's what it is at its
100%.
core.
Yeah.
Is it? Everybody. When you hear cryptid or you hear cryptozoology, everybody starts thinking about Bigfoot and everything else. Well, even the idea of Bigfoot is, could it be an undiscovered bipedal primate?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that a possibility? That's what cryptozoology looks at it.
Right.
So it's the same thing here. We have evidence of a prehistoric one that was, enormous. We now have modern day evidence of an enormous snake. What could have possibly been the link between them?
Mm-hmm.
Over the course of millions of years, what if the Titanoboa just got a little bit smaller?
Right. Right.
Every million years.
Yeah. To fit. I mean, the oxygen levels have gone down in the atmosphere. They said all species of animal and insect were larger in prehistoric times just because the amount of oxygen was higher, so they could breathe more. So as the oxygen dropped, the size would have dropped some.
Right. And imagine the prey that it would have been able to consume during the late Pliocene era. I mean, much larger prey.
Mm-hmm.
So it's larger. As the prey gets smaller, so does it.
Yep.
And everything, begins to evolve into something else before it gets to what we know of today.
Yeah.
But I firmly believe, especially with the pictures that the Warners got, that there is an unidentified species of snake, whether it's an anaconda, whether it's a descendant of the Titanoboa, and there's probably more than just one that's out there that we have not discovered, simply because, much like the cryptids in Africa, it's too difficult to try to get in there and find it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you just, every once in a while, you get lucky. And you find something that is valuable evidence of something existing. And I think we may have it.
Yeah, I think so. But I'm curious, if there has been anybody that listens to the show that maybe has gone into the Amazon that can shed some light on the possibility of this. Because obviously Matt and I haven't been there, but it seems very plausible to us that this would be a real species of something that just isn't documented yet.
Yeah. I agree. What do you guys think? You know, do you think this is an undiscovered species? Do you think that the Yacumama, it existed? Maybe not in the supernatural aspect, but this was something that the ancient Aztecs saw and revered and even feared because of its size, because of its ability. Maybe didn't fully understand it and associated things that seemed supernatural to it. Let us know. And the best place to do that is in our Facebook group. It is called The Graveyard. You just go on Facebook, search The Graveyard, and you'll find us. We got thousands of people in there sharing their opinions and stories and their jokes and personal experiences, and we love it. It's a great place to just come in and you know, find that stuff that if you're listening to this show, you're into it anyway. So
yeah. Yep.
Don't forget to check out our website, which is graveyardpodcast.com. And there you can find links to purchase Graveyard Tales merchandise. You can listen to the show and you can become a patron. And as Adam discussed at the top of the show, you know, we have several different tiers. We have multiple shows that you can access, a ton of back content that you're not going to get on the main channel. So go and check it out. Man, I tell you what, this one is really cool. You know, very, very few times have we talked about a cryptid that we've thought, yeah, this thing really exists.
There's a few times that we hoped they did.
Yeah.
But far less that we're like, yeah, that could be 100% real.
Yeah, absolutely. So until next time, we'll save you a seat in the graveyard.
See you soon.